Hey everyone, the real estate market is constantly changing. There's booms, there's busts, and everything in between. But what drives these changes? Well, today I want to talk to you about the 4 phases of the real estate cycle to help you be prepared when you're ready to get into the market. Stay tuned. Hi, I'm Sean Boswell. I'm a local realtor in Idaho Falls. I help buyers and sellers alike navigate the real estate market, and I'd like to help you. Hit the subscribe button and bell notification to get the latest market insights. Let's go. In this video, we're going to explore the 4 different phases of the real estate cycle. First is expansion. Next is hypersupply. Third is recession. And fourth is recovery. Understanding each of these 4 different phases and their strengths would help us to be able to time the market and understand how our real estate portfolio will be affected by the economy. This can also help us to basically get the most gain out of our real estate and also let go of it when we need to. So phase number 1 is the expansion period. This is my favorite time. And it's my favorite because there is so much opportunity to grow. For a rising standpoint, you are going to be buying at the time in which prices are beginning to rise, but they are still pretty reasonable and you can get a good deal. It also is a good time for rentals and especially with commercial leases, those as they're filled, you have less and less worry to keep that vacant. You don't want to have to keep it vacant longer. And so with this, it's an exciting time for everyone. There's a lot of demand for new builds, and developers can come in, develop a subdivision, and make quite a bit of money. Buyers also, in the long term, can buy and make quite a bit of money over the long term, because if they buy it right and prices are still rising, they'll have equity very quickly after buying. Sellers also have the benefit in this market because they can get into the market and sell quickly, and usually for top dollar, because the demand is so high. This drives up prices and causes the market to continue to boom until it gets to the next phase. So phase 2 is the hypersupply market. This is when everything is starting to change. We used to have that expansion, and when we were growing, everything was doing well and there was a lot of demand. But demand is starting to slow and supply is increasing. This is causing prices to balance out. We can't go much higher. Essentially, the housing market starts to slow and builders start getting out of the market because they're worried when they can't sell their home after 100 days, what do? So this ends up being a real strong buyer's market, and really ultimately investors have to be very careful getting into this type of market. It's kind of one of those areas where we may not know what the future will hold, whether that will drop us back down into an expansion phase, or if we go and start dropping into a recession. This hypersupply is dangerous. We don't want to get into it if we can. It tends to be the worst time to buy and the worst time to sell because sellers can't get rid of their homes, not even for less money than they wanted. There's just not enough buyers. So ultimately, this is a cautionary area, and be careful when you're getting into this phase of the market. All right, phase 3, hold on tight guys. This is the phase that's the scariest, and it's the recession. Recession is when we are on a down, slippery slope and we can't stop very easily. What tends to happen in the recession is the market starts to crash. The economy is uncertain. We don't know where it's happening, and ultimately unemployment tends to start rising. People can't keep a job, or they can't find a job, and they can't make their mortgage payments. They can't take care of their typical bills. Potentially inflation has gone so high, they can't afford even typically to live in a rental even. And so rental vacancy rates, or in other words, the occupancy, people living there, they can't do it as easily, and they tend to move back home. Recession can be ultimately the scariest place out of all of these phases because it is hard to predict when it will end. But luckily we know that the 4 phases of real estate do all have an end, and the recession will stop eventually once it hits rock bottom, whether that's 50% less or maybe 10% less. There can be small downturns that will feel like a recession. However, an ultimate recession is going to be a big drop in prices and a big drop in demand, and no one can get rid of their home quick enough. So be careful when you go and try to buy into this. This is a perfect time for investors who potentially can pick up homes for pennies on the dollar, but it can be still a risky situation before we get to the next phase. So my fourth phase in this situation is going to be the recovery. And we've gone through the recession, we've hit rock bottom, prices are finally starting to stabilize. This gives us a little more confidence that there can be now some growth happening. The growth will be slow, and if we hold on tight long enough, this will be an ultimate phase for helping us move along to the expansion and get some money out of our home that we've just basically taken a hit on. This time is also a good time for early investors to jump in. If they feel like they can make a good, confident offer and there's very low risk, they will jump in, and it'll be a good time because they will have an opportunity to grow that price of that home a lot more. And in the future, the expansion phase will allow them to have that growth that they're looking for if they hold on to it long enough. So where are we at with the Idaho Falls market? It's a great question. We have historically been back and forth between an expansion and hypersupply market. These two markets, we are bouncing back and forth based on interest rates a lot of times. The interest rates have skyrocketed about a year and a half ago, and we have slowly been seeing a lot more supply on the market. However, prices have taken a hit, and this has caused us to balance out a little bit more on the lower side than we were in 2022. So what I expect to see in the near future here is a continued expansion this year as interest rates drop. And what I also expect is that buyers will be more than thrilled to come in, and there's a lot of positivity with the buyers that are coming in. However, sellers, if you're going to get your house on the market, try to do so by spring. It's a great time to put in your house on the market. However, don't expect that there's going to be multiple offers right away. This is no seller's market, it's a balanced market. And expect that it's going to take a bit of time to find the right buyer. Be comfortable doing repairs for the buyers and make sure your home is the best it can be before listing it. Ultimately, it is difficult to time the real estate market just right. However, if you look for the signs of the four phases we explored today, I know you'll be able to get in and out at the right time. If you're thinking about buying or selling, I'd love to hear from you. My number and information is in the description below. Also, if you haven't hit the subscribe button, please do so now. And if you have any ideas of future videos or areas you'd like me to explore in Idaho Falls, please comment those below. I'd love to hear from you. And we'll see you next time in Living in Idaho Falls.